On this episode, are you really supporting your sales team? Hey everyone, this is the quarter show, and today we're talking about, are you actually supporting your sales team? It's interesting because a lot of companies, obviously you spend a huge amount of money on marketing and, marketing up to a given point. So they're going to trade shows, they're doing PDFs, they're doing material, they're doing white papers, they're doing webinars, they're doing this, they're doing that. And all of these things, if you box them all in and you look at it and think, these things are all essentially for marketing to drive leads, right? End product marketing drive lead. Great, good, awesome. So then lead goes over to sales team. So all of that is totally needed, obviously. Marketing, all that huge function that's going on, all to drive lead as a key metric. Now the lead, you take that lead and it goes over to the sales team. But from there, what then? From there, lead goes to the sales team and you go, okay, well, they have the lead, don't they? And they have their telephone and they have their email, and then you have some sales collateral or whatever. But when you look at it and you sort of like weigh it out and you say, what are we doing from a marketing standpoint to get the lead? All the trade shows, the campaigns, the online ads, the videos, the this, the that, all the things just to pump out a lead and product. And then you take that lead and you give it to the sales and you look at then what's happening for the sales team to take that lead all the way through, following along from lead all the way through to close, and you take it all the way through to close, and you look at what's happening there. Is the same campaign and support that's being done to drive the lead being done to drive the sale, right? The sales enablement side, the sales execution side. Are you supporting your sales team at the same level that marketing is being supported to get the lead? Because if you aren't, that means that you're spending a fortune to drive the lead, but a lead isn't worth anything unless you get it to the sales team and they take it all the way through and close a sale, which means revenue, income that comes into the company, right? These are common basic things, obvious things we know, but bottom line is, it seems super obvious, seems super simple. The truth is, most companies are not. They are spending a tiny sum and they're not truly supporting their sales team. They put all the emphasis to drive the lead, comes over to sales, and they're not hammering in. They're not supporting all those execution plays to take it from lead through to close. And so it's kind of silly when you really think about it, when you spend this much, you've invested this much money to drive the lead in the first place, and then you don't support it through the sales channel all the way through to take it to close and drive revenue. And then the sales team complains about, oh, it was dead, or I couldn't get it, or it was a bad lead, or whatever. It's kind of an insane cycle that a lot of companies go through. And I don't know why, it just is the way it is, but you should be evening this out and taking the same approach and applying that to the sales team to ensure that that lead makes it all the way through that cycle, through that process, all the way out the other side to drive revenue.
Well, and because the problem is that anyone who's been around the block nowadays knows what a lead is. A lead actually doesn't mean anything almost anymore.
Yeah.
I just talked to a person on the phone right before the show here. Did a LinkedIn campaign, awesome, great product, $250,000 impressions or whatever, 40 click-throughs, of actually clicking through to their website and stuff like that.
Right. This is what they were telling you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he told me. So they're going to do some work with us. We're going to, it's going to help improve that and this and that. But the point is, a lead doesn't really mean much anymore. So when you talk about marketing spends all these dollars on generating leads, and here's a list of 1,000 leads, sales team go to it, and the sales team calls down, they discover that more than 900 of them aren't anything at all. Right, so what's actually needs to happen is that the dollars need to continue to be spent in order to establish an actually interested person who wants to talk to another human being, or actually is qualified to have these services. It's actually not a lead until it reaches a certain point, and there's a big dump off point. There's a huge gap between marketing and sales, and the definition of lead has changed over time. Leads used to be a big deal. You talk about Glengarry Glen Ross, and you got these leads, right? You got these, these leads can be sold, right? But those leads at that time when that movie was, where that sort of the content of that movie came from was a time when leads really meant something. It was a person who was reaching and interested and wanted to know something.
Yeah.
Now leads are just like, because of this, the online element of things, leads have to do with clicks and other things that don't mean much.
Yeah, very light metrics. And the challenge is really, from a sales standpoint, how do you support the sales team at such a degree that you can take each lead, whatever factor that is, and really work to take that up to 100%. Not like, oh, we close 2% or we close 10% of our leads. But part of the big problem is, are you really supporting your sales team? Are you really supporting the sales enablement side? Are you really supporting the sales execution side? And quite frankly, with most companies that have come across, they're not. It's not there. And so the sales team runs out of steam, and they follow up, and then they end up leaving voicemails and messages that literally say, hey, John, just following up. And then the email says, hey, just following up, did you get my blah, blah, blah? And people run out of gas. People can only do that so much. It gets awkward after the third time they've done that. And so you have to really lean in on the sales team and go, what videos, how can we map out the sales process? Do we have assets all the way through? Do we have everything we need to build confidence, handle objections, drive confidence, drive case studies, show the experience, show what it's like to use this product? All those different assets, if you follow that sort of buyer's journey or even the sales journey all the way from beginning to end, have you armed out the sales team from lead all the way through to close with every asset and everything that you need to sell the prospect?
Right, because here's the problem is you have 1,000 leads, let's say, right? and you're closing 2%, 4%, whatever your team is closing off of. The truth is that number is a bit, there's some hidden information about it, because the truth is, of that 1,000, probably maybe let's be generous or something and say like 200 of them are actually viable and like qualified, the correct target audience, not just some Joe Schmo sitting at home interested in tech or something like that, right? So let's say 250 of those, so 25% are actually like the right kind of person to be contacted. Now, if you don't support, so see, it's actually 25% of that number, let's say, or 20% or whatever, is actually what your sales team should be addressing and handling. It's that chunk of people that you need to be addressing this second chunk, this second arm of marketing to, and sales support. And then you're going to find out like how much business can we actually drive. It's a camouflage to say we have 1,000 leads, because it's not true.
Yeah.
You have 800 of those are nothing at all actually. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the actual leads, and to find them, to actually find what percentage of that is, you have to have the right marketing and sales materials in order to uncover them.
Yeah, and
then you'll know.
And it's a bit of a crazy thing to invest so heavily in the marketing side just to get the lead and then not follow that cycle through. Like, you need to look at it from before they ever heard of you, all the way through the marketing channel, all the way through the sales. It's like stopping halfway or incompleting, not having an incomplete cycle. Like, you're not taking it all the way through if you're not supporting your sales team. And quite frankly, I think if you look at it, you say, well, what are we doing to support the sales team? To support the sales cycle from lead all the way through to close, beginning to end. What are we doing? Like, how are we supporting the sales team to ensure that they have everything that we know they're going to run into?
It's a misnomer that you had leads in the first place that were at like 1,000 of them. It's actually incorrect. You didn't. And to establish what you actually had, you need these extra materials and this extra support to take place, and then you'll know what you really have. Because if out of 1,000 you're closing 2 or 4%, but if you'd actually had enough materials to see it all the way to the end of the race, it turns out you had 200 actually viable ones, and then let's say you close 25% of that.
Yeah, I can't believe often how many companies you come across where it's like all the stuff is driven heavily for the marketing side of things. It's like, well, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing that, but it's all geared for the purpose of the lead. And then it gets to the sales, and it's like, oh, sales team, what are they doing with it? They're not doing anything with it. And then they start piling up. But it's like, it's basically this incompleted action. Like, you've taken it halfway, which the halfway point is the lead. But then from there, there's more work to be done. And there's some sales that, they have collateral, maybe they have a PDF, or they have like a white paper they're sending, but it's really not organized very well, and it's not fully supporting everything that they're going to run into all the way through. And so you kind of like stop at the halfway point, and then you scratch your head because it doesn't go all the way through, and it doesn't quote unquote convert to revenue. And it's like anything halfway done is not going to be good, right? And so this whole idea of like, are you truly supporting your sales team? Are you really leaning in on sales enablement tools? What are you doing there? How can you improve it? What do they need? What are the top objections they're running into? How can you handle that? What are the key things that people ask? How can you handle that? Do you have case studies? Do you have testimonials? Do you have a third-party assessment? Do you have something that shows what it's like to help deliver the experience of the product or service or whatever? Do you have all these different assets that build confidence and help sort of follow the sales cycle through? And these are really, really important things, and that's where consistency comes from in closing deals. That's what any sales team needs, or a great salesperson, no matter how good they are. Nobody doesn't need this, and so there's an element of like, I just think it's very lopsided in terms of the amount of money that's being spent on marketing to get the lead, which is the halfway point, and then hardly anything on the very most important part, which is taking it to execute it to get the sale and get the revenue, and that's where all the revenue comes to go and invest and do more of it again. So it'd be foolish to stop here and not take it all the way through. So, that's kind of something you should be looking at is how can we support the sales team further? What can we do more? And I think companies are lopsided, frankly. I think there's a lot of money in marketing, and I don't think there's enough money in sales.
And it's not like marketing doesn't bring in money. It's, to wrap
No, for
it up
sure.
here, it's not like there's a failure going on. What there is a hidden hole.
Look, marketing's actually doing their job. Marketing's doing their job and getting the lead.
Yeah.
It's
There's
that
a
you're
hidden-
stopping at a halfway point.
Right, so just leaving literally, and I know it's a nice catchphrase, leaving money on the table. A lot of it. A lot.
Yeah, the marketing's done their
Just by
job,
not
right?
spending in that gap.
Yeah, they spend on marketing. Marketing's done their job. They get the lead. But the real metric, the thing that is the sort of ultimate acid test is did it go all the way through?
Who cares
And so
about
to
that?
not support that action,
Right.
Is just not, it's not enough.
You should actually give all your money to the sales team. Let's flop them. Let's flip flop them.
Now, look, the bottom line is
We gotta have a conversation.
There needs to be an even strategy there, and some people say, "Oh, I don't budget." It's like, even it out. A lot of the budget is going into marketing. And look, we know you got to get leads. Of course, you got to get leads, no question.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, but you have to take those leads through to revenue.
Yeah.
Right, because you can't pay payroll with leads.
You can't take metrics to the bank.
Yeah, you can't take metrics to the bank.
Hey, I've got all these metrics. Look how many hits we got. I'm sorry, sir, but I can't deposit those.
Can't
for you.
deposit
Or
leads.
ma'am, or whatever.
Yeah, so we can only deposit revenue. And so, it's one thing we stress with our clients all the time is like lean in on the sales enablement side, the sales execution side, the same way it's being done on the marketing side to drive that all the way through and complete that cycle, and don't stop at the half point.
Yeah.
Okay? Hope that helps. We have more coming at you soon. Don't forget to subscribe. By the way, if you like the content, hit the like button. We really do appreciate it. All these things really count. And follow us on Twitter at The Quarter Show, and you can always hashtag The Quarter, and then we'll see that you posted it. Okay? Thanks. We'll have more coming at you soon.